Alright, welcome back to the Speedfire Fab channel. I'm out in the shop tonight. This video is going to be a little bit different than some of the ones I've done in the past. I'm changing my approach slightly. So I'm on the OBS build. For those of y'all that have been following along for the last few weeks, you've seen some of the highlights of the bigger project items on the truck. Fuel tank and radiator, fuel system, things like that. And I've enjoyed making those videos. I have another video that kind of started of me making the downpipe for the turbo. It's honestly a train wreck of a video. I don't even think it's decent enough to post. And the reason I say that is I recorded most of that footage on my iPhone on a stabilizer gimbal that I kept having problems with. And it would just randomly shut off and the phone would just drop and the camera would basically just like free fall, go limp on the whatever. And it kept doing that every 5-6 minutes, but I was busy working, didn't really notice it until it was too late, and I lost a lot of footage. It's just, it doesn't clip together well, and I'm not happy with it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just give a little update on where I'm at, show some of the things I've done that I haven't videoed. This truck is entered into Holley LS Fest at Texas Motor Speedway May 16th and 17th. That is 17 days from today. And this is the current state. And to prove that, I'm not joking here. Today's Tuesday, April 29th, LS Fest, 17 days. So, instead of doing a bunch of filming of individual finish up things on the truck and trying to get them out before LS Fest, I think what I'm going to do is, in this video, I'm going to explain, again, where I'm at, what I've done, what's left, and I'm basically trying to paint a picture for y'all out there of when you build a truck or a large-scale project, and this one's not full large-scale because it's not like a frame-off restoration. Those are even more involved, obviously, but there's enough in this one that it's pretty in-depth. It's a lot of work, a lot of pieces, and sometimes it can seem easy, but the harsh reality is when you get to the last 10%, it takes longer sometimes than the other 90%. And it takes longer, it costs money, it nickels and dimes you to death at the parts store, all your little fittings, your hoses, wiring connectors, like little things nobody thinks about. It's easy to budget, oh, the motor and transmission is going to cost this much. You know, wheels and tires this much, turbo this much. Like, you can plan that out for the most part, but all the little tiny things like the filters and the hose clamps and the hose ends and the zip ties and the brackets to hold the hoses, all those little things add up, not just on your wallet and the money situation, but the time it takes to get all that right and make it look nice is way more difficult than involved in setting the motor and transmission and rear end and whatever the project is. So to help paint that picture and show some of y'all out there that may or may not really be into cars, I know I got some family watching, may or may not know what I do or what this involves. Like hopefully this next little build series is going to show some of that. So 17 days of LS Fest. I'll be out here working every one of those 17 days after work. I've been doing that for the last probably 2 months, at least 6 days a week. And basically I'm going to record kind of a time lapse of all the last little details. I'll put some commentary on there, kind of explaining what I'm doing here and there. I'm not going to go in depth to a lot of it unless I just see a point to do that while I'm videoing. But I want to like I said, there's 17 days. I'm going to throw a video together and post it every other day. So it'll basically be 8 videos from now until Thursday, May 15th. The show's Friday and Saturday. So it's kind of like an 8-episode miniseries of, I don't know what I'm going to call it yet, but it's basically the last 10% of a truck build or whatever. You get the picture, I think. Hope. And I don't know how much footage it's going to be. I'll try to make them kind of quick, but you'll see all the little nuances, the tips and the tricks and like I said, the little tiny things that take forever. I got 17 days to do it, and the plan is to drive this. It's about an hour to Texas Motor Speedway. I'll trailer it if I have to, but I really don't want to. The Scout is going. It's pretty much ready. There's some things to do to it, but this is the focus. I've got every single part, I think, every single large part here for sure. I've got most of the little nickel and dime parts, as I call them, on hand, ready to go. So I'm going to do a quick rundown of where I'm at, what's left, and then I'm just going to get to work over the next couple weeks, and y'all will be along for the ride. So sit back, enjoy, let me know what you think, and we're going to hit it. Okay, so I've got motor and transmission are in. I've got the whole front end painted. I've got the front cover put in. I had to swap that out. For the turbo drain, I've got to make the turbo drain line still. I've got a belt. The wiring is 95% done. I've got everything ran underneath the intake. Trying to make it as clean as possible. Relays and power distribution, transmission module, they all hide behind the factory cover. Looks original-ish. I have not tried to fire it up. I put power to the battery to the ECM 2 days ago. Quickly realized that I had all my relays wired backwards because I'm not used to modern EFI standalone systems, and they basically, everything is ground activated from the ECM, and I had everything set up to be activated by 12 volts. So I've got all that fixed. I think it's ready to go. I had a bad starter. I've got a brand new starter I picked up today. I got to get that in there, tweak some programming in the tune, basically point all the wires and tell it what I want everything to do. I've got to drain the oil, put fresh oil, fresh filter, bolt the intake down, finish hooking up all the wires. I've got to build the fuel line from the regulator to the fuel rail. Everything back to the tank is done. I've got to clean up the factory harness to all the headlights. I've got to clean up wiper motor, run a couple wires there. Turbo's mounted. Like I said, I got to build a drain line. Waste gates and downpipe are complete. Downpipe's welded, but I got to pull it off and weld all the wastegate pieces. I have not built any of the exhaust. I've got to do that. At some point I want to try to figure out AC. I don't know if that's going to be the next 17 days or not. I got to make custom lines. That's going to get kind of tedious. As you can see, we have a mess. This is kind of the effect of the last 10% thrash. The shop is a freaking mess. There's stuff everywhere. The interior of this thing is a mess. We got a few more wires to hook in for some inputs and some outputs. I got to tie all that up, clean all that up. You got boxes of parts. The whole bed's full of original parts, new parts. All that has to be gonna have to be cleaned out and put somewhere. We got the digital dashes in. I'll bolt that in. I got to wire a few wires into the back of that still. I got to tie up all these wires. I got to figure out how to make the remote start and alarm system that I have on here operational. I've got to put the fenders and front end back on. Going to black out intercooler. I got to build a lower bracket for the intercooler. I got to weld the top bracket. I'm going to plate the top of this, cover up the radiator. I'm going to black out the radiator. I got to get new headlights. That's one thing I am missing. The transmission cooler is mounted and plumbed. The drive shaft is ready to go in. The fuel tank is in. What else? The exhaust crossover pipe, that's done. I gotta finish welding the transmission shifter. Honestly, I think that's pretty much it. My plan is I'm gonna get it all, I'm throwing the starter in tonight. We're gonna get it all wired up, hooked up, bolt the intake back down, get the fluids changed and get it ready to try to fire off for the first time. Check all my wiring, make sure I got the tune well enough to fire. I want to see this thing bark off and idle before I go putting the fenders and all the rest of the stuff down. If that works out good, it fires up and idles and all the systems function, then we'll start putting it back together. I do have some other footage of some little things, like I've got some wiring footage and me making the transmission crossmember, modifying that. So I'll throw that up in some videos at some point. Like I said, now is not the time. I got to get this truck done, but I also want, like I said in the beginning of the video, I want to show y'all out there the true reality of what it's like to push a project like this to the finish line. It's difficult. I think the two hardest things of any project, especially automotive build, no matter really how far you're going, even if it's just a simple engine swap, that's what this one started out as. It's escalated like it does in most cases. But the two hardest things is starting the project, like jumping right in and just blowing it apart, starting it, and then getting it across the finish line. That in between, it happens, but I think it's a lot easier because it's easier to stab motor and transmission and bigger items. You see more progress. When you're doing these little tiny things and you're going back and forth, it's tedious, it gets overwhelming, it gets frustrating. Like, I was pretty frustrated with the wiring, not gonna lie, because I'm like, why won't this stuff work? But it can't work off 12 volt if it only outputs a ground signal. So that's actually better anyways. It's safer. It's just better. But yeah, we gotta get it running. We gotta put the front end back on. We gotta wash and detail it. I gotta wash and detail the Scout. The Scout's got a fuel line needs to be replaced. It's also running like crap. Check engine lights on. I don't know. Need to tweak the tune some more on that. So there's plenty to do in the next 17 days. 3-4 hours after work, maybe 4 or 5 hours after work. I don't know. I don't plan on doing nothing for the next 3 or 4 weekends. 3 weekends, I guess. It's going to be out here working on this, and one way or another, I'm going to get it done. And I might be biting off more than I can chew, saying I'm going to capture all this and edit and post a video every other day. My original plan was every day, but let's be realistic. That's freaking chaotic and dumb and not going to happen. But I think I can do it every other day. Like I said, they're going to be down and dirty thrown together, but I'm not necessarily doing this for me. Like I enjoy doing this part of it, and I kind of enjoy filming it. It's cool for me to look back on in the future and see how I did things. But my point of this channel is to teach other people. Like, I've learned a lot from YouTube and other people in the industry, outside of the industry. Like, I think we all can bring something to the table, and I want to share my knowledge. So this is my way of doing that. Like I said, for my family and friends out there that aren't really into cars, like, I hope this paints a picture. And for other people that I don't know out there that aren't into cars, like, I hope this paints a picture as to kind of what we do, why we do it. It may not always look like we enjoy it, but we definitely do. And I think I can speak for most everybody on that for the most part. So with that being said, I'm going to quit talking. Y'all probably tired of hearing my voice. I'm going to get this thing up, put the starter on it, and just make some progress. 2 or 3 things every evening, and before we know it, we're there. So let's go. All right, real quick, we got the transmission crossmember fabbed up and extended. I got to smooth that out and paint it. Got the trans cooler mounted. Got to get some new shorter bolts, paint this bracket. I got to put the end on the wires. Got the lines ran, just got to tighten them up. Like I said, I got to finish the shifter. Got all the transmission plugged in. Got to build all the exhaust. Haven't really decided what I'm going to do with that. And I'm probably going to get some comments over how disorganized I am, and there's a better way to keep all this like it is, but honestly, I'm not the most organized person. I really try to be, but I don't do a great job at it. And when I get in these time crunches like this, which I put myself in these positions, I realize that, but I only get a couple hours a night coming out here after work, after working 12, 13 hours a day. So it's work 3 hours and kind of leave everything laying, or work 2 hours and spend an hour cleaning up. That doesn't seem super efficient, but then I also realize when I'm all said and done, I spend 8 hours cleaning up, so it probably maths out to be the same, and my logic is not valid, but it is what it is. That's, I guess, why I'm like I am, but either way, we're gonna get the old starter thrown up in here. Oh yeah, we can talk about this real quick. So, another one of them project, I don't know. I can't even think of what I'm trying to say. Custom car quirks or crazy things you have to deal with when you're building custom one-off stuff. I can't even find the part I'm looking for. Anyways, these are Gen 4 knock sensors. That's 2007 and newer, I think. They bolt in the side on this little threaded boss in the block. Gen 3 knock sensors are big, round. They bolt underneath the intake in the valley cover. These are way better. They're not as susceptible to moisture, and they don't throw weird codes and readings and all kinds of stuff like the Gen 3 does. This has a whole Gen 4 top end. This is a Gen 3 block. These threads on the Gen 3 block are larger than the threaded hole or the hole that the bolt goes in on the Gen 4 knock sensors. So what I've done is I've just drilled out the knock sensor. No idea if that's going to work. Might be crazy. I'm going to try it, and we're going to hope for the best. So, like I said 5 minutes ago, I'm going to stop talking. I'm tired of hearing my voice, I'm sure. And we're going to get into the work. I put the ends on the wrong side. Okay, we can wire our, just wire that. Get a zip tie and clean that up later. Okay, so it's day 1 of the 17-day crunch. I'm pretty much calling it quits. It's a little after 9 o'clock. Little recap. We got the starter in and wired. We got the intake mounted. We got most of the engine harness wired. We got the boost controller mounted and wired. We got the transmission cooler fan wired. I got the fuel pressure sensor mounted. It's basically wired, just got to plug it in. What else did we do? I think that's pretty much it. Not a lot for a couple hours, but it's progress nonetheless. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do tomorrow, but between now and then, in about 20-something hours, I'll figure that out. So yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow. All right, back in the shop. It's day 2 of the last 10% on the OBS build. Today is April 30th. That means 16 days until Texas LS Fest to get this old girl fired up, back together, and driving down the road. Like I said previously, I'm kind of doing this little build series it's kind of a learning thing for any of y'all watching, so y'all can understand what the last 10% of a build takes. The key is you want to make a list, write down any and everything that you've got to do. It's okay if you forget some things, you can add to the list as you go. That's just the nature of how it usually goes, the nature of the beast. I usually keep my list on the windshield windows of the projects just because I have multiple projects going at once and sometimes they sit for a while. As long as they're in the shop, that stays on the window. The problem is it doesn't really show up on camera because it's black dry erase on a somewhat dark surface. So in order to help y'all out and help y'all visualize, and it'll help me too, I've written everything I have to do on the whiteboard. Again, this is just everything I can currently think of. I will add and subtract as I go. I did a little bit of math. There's 60 items on this list currently. We have 16 days, including today. That averages out to about 3 3/4. I basically need to complete 3 3/4 of these items every day. And then some, because like I said, I'm probably missing something if I want to meet my deadline. So I've set 4 tasks for tonight. I'm going to do power steering hose, alternator, catch can and catch can hoses. We'll see if that goes to plan. If I have some time, I might knock a couple other things out. There's going to be some days where I'm going to have to do 5 or 6. There's still some welding and fabrication on some of these, as you can see, so that's going to add more time, but hopefully that's what the weekends are for. I think it's about 7:15. I'm going to work a couple hours and I got to get in and edit this video so that I can release it for y'all to watch tomorrow. Because remember, this is a every other day series. Be posted on YouTube every other day. It'll basically be 2 days worth of work on my end, and y'all will be basically seeing it a day late. That's just kind of how it falls. I would rather release it the next morning than release it at midnight, so we'll see how all that goes. But today's day 2 for me on this first episode, so means I got to edit, put it all together today, and get it out there. There's a lot to do, but at this point I'm like 94% confident that I'll get it done. And by get it done, I mean do everything on the list. I mean, there's a few things, like I put maybe on the AC and I don't know, probably a couple other things, because there's a few things that I don't necessarily have to have 100% complete. It'd be nice if I could get it, but I got to work on the key features first, get it down the road. I still got to go get tags and registration for it. Thankfully, it's 2025 in Texas, and we don't have to get inspections, which means I don't have to finish it 3-4 days early to try to get it inspected and passed and all that nonsense. I can just go to the courthouse and get my tags. I have determined that I'm still missing a few pieces. I bought 90s for the turbo drain, and I need 45s. I have to buy those. Probably some odds and ends, I'm sure. I don't have all the fluids, but anyway, that's enough talking. I gotta get to work. So let's kick on the time lapse and y'all enjoy. I'm gonna call that a win for day 2. Got the alternator mounted. I had planned to put the catch can, thought it would fit right here. Doesn't fit. Kind of want to put it here, but I'm gonna have to figure out some kind of bracket. So I'm gonna brainstorm that idea for a couple days, make sure I like it. Switched over and I got the fuel line to the rail. Missed just a hair. There's a little bit of braid in there. Not gonna hurt, just not perfect. Went ahead and mounted the transmission dipstick right here. Honestly, I think it's fairly clean. I mean, it looks a little weird, this bolt there, but I don't know. It doesn't really fit anywhere there. I feel like this will be easy. Not too difficult, so I'm gonna roll with that. And I also got the power steering line in. That actually went smoother than expected. I'm glad I found that. This extra little piece that was on there, got rid of that. So, I think we can check off, remove the stars on that because I didn't get it done. Power steering hose, install alternator. Fuel line regulator to intake. What else do we do? Transmission dipstick. I'm already losing track of what I've done. That's why a list is important. You should, best practice is to check each one off as you do it. So do as I say, not as I do in that situation. But we needed 3.75, we got 4 out the way, so again, that's a win. About 8:40, bad for a couple hours. I want to clean up. Who am I kidding? I'm not cleaning up. I'll be back out here tomorrow. I don't have time to clean up, but I'm gonna lock the shop down. I'm gonna go edit this video so that I can upload it sometime tomorrow. So be on the lookout for that. I don't know why I just told y'all to be on the lookout for that, because if you made it this far in the video, you've already found the video. I guess it's been a long day. I'm tired. That's what the last thrash will do to you, so you know what I mean. Be on the lookout for future videos, because again, this is part 1 of 7 or 8-ish, give or take. And remember, it's going to be every other day. I'm going to film for 2 days, and the video will drop every other day. Hopefully it'll be out by noon. We'll see what happens. Anyways, hope y'all enjoyed a little bit of time lapse. Progress so far. Thanks for hanging out. Like and subscribe, share with your friends, and I will see y'all in 2 days.